Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here to discuss really an amazing idea that was initially coined by our good friend and upcoming speaker, Professor Ron Laporte of Pittsburgh University of Pittsburgh, who actually came up with the idea that it was particularly useful for people who are engaged in science. At the time, specifically, he was thinking of epidemiology, to have access to fresh, modern, authoritative information in the form of PowerPoint slide lectures. Because after all, when we prepare PowerPoint slide lectures, we try to summarize and distill everything we've read, everything we've learned, and the latest information into an easily communicable fashion. So this is different from reading journals, because yes, you will find all the material in the journals. Then you have to glean from a lot of places, pull all that material, organize it, summarize it, present it in a clear way. What if all that material is already in place? And that idea was developed as a proof of concept, so to speak, or something much larger, because those who know Ron Laporte and like him as I do, know that he has no boundary on his ambitions and expectations to reach everybody, not just in Pittsburgh, in America, in North America, in the Western Hemisphere, in the whole world. And not just doctors, but public health people, and why not just medical faculties and students? And so he has lots of ambitions. He'll tell you about that himself in his own infectious way in a moment. But the basic idea was that a network, a community of practice was created. And out of these guys, we were very proud early on in the inauguration of the Library of Alexandria to talk about the Supercourse. And the Supercourse at the time was just epidemiology. And we started out with 1,000 lectures, which we had on a CD, and we were giving it away, provided that it should be a gift to be shared with others and given away. So it was not at all to be held and kept by anybody. Now that idea evolved in two ways, and the library and Ron, who was already working with WHO, got involved together in this because we believe in the Library of Alexandria, as I told you at the opening of this conference, that all knowledge should be accessible to all people at all times. We believe in empowering people through knowledge. But secondly, I also believe, speaking for myself, and I'm sure many of my colleagues share that belief, whatever we say for the time being about distance learning and about other techniques and self-learning and advancing through the internet and other things of that nature, that for the foreseeable future, in the next 10, 15 years, maybe longer, but at least for the next 10 to 15 years, for the majority of people in the world, the exposure to science is going to come from someone explaining to a group of people. Now, whether it's a teacher in a high school, a lecturer in a university, a colleague among graduate students, but the mechanism is going to be that someone will be explaining to a group of people or informing them, and then maybe discussing with them after that communication takes place. And today, thanks to the quasi-monopolistic power of Microsoft, just as Word has become very common in text documents, PowerPoints have become very common in presentations. So if we have this mechanism by which learning is occurring, especially science learning, One of the key ways of improving and strengthening that is to empower the person who is doing the communicating, either the teacher or the instructor or the lecturer. And we want to give them, at their fingertips, ready-made PowerPoint lectures that are authoritative, and they can take either a complete lecture and deliver it, or we allow them even to take individual slides from individual lectures and compose their own. So what you are doing is that you are putting at the fingertips of the teacher in a fairly remote place access to the latest information in the field that is supported by a community of practice of people who are knowledgeable in that area, and they can use that material then to reach out. So in the Library of Alexandria, we joined hands with the center in Pittsburgh and WHO, which were the original two people. We said, not only do we support what you're doing in the epidemiology course, but we want to expand that to all of public health and medicine, and we want to expand that to other areas. And that was the birth of what is now called the Science Supercourse in the Library of Alexandria. And I have Dr. Noha Adli and Dr. Magdi Nagy, who have been at the forefront of that and helping in this area, and they will explain some of the functionalities and other techniques that exist in this marvelous new tool that I hope all of you will use for your own selves, and that's one of the purposes of this meeting. But more importantly, we found out that what had succeeded brilliantly, may I quote some of the early statistics? You must have bigger ones around right now. But we initially reissued a second set on CDs of the then Supercourse, which was basically the epidemiology course. And we had 3,600 lectures, ranging from young assistant professors who had just finished their PhD thesis to distinguished Nobel laureates like the late Joshua Lederberg, lectures by them available to everybody. And those 3,600 lectures actually were used by 60,000 teachers, instructors, lecturers, as you want to say, to reach about 1 million students or audiences, 1 million, in 173 countries and territories. And for free. The cost was nothing. They could do that. This is a remarkably successful idea, and that's why we're so eager to expand it more. Now, the byproduct of that, which was unexpected, I think, from that basic idea, is that it helped create a network of people who communicate with each other, a network of people who share ideas, a network of people that can come together, and come together they did, in translating lectures to multiple languages. And then ever inventive Ron Laporte came up with JIT, just-in-time lectures for disasters and catastrophes, and many other things that I'm sure he'll be telling you about. We had golden lectures, other lectures, and so on. And I understand that those lectures rank extremely high in terms of the statistics of viewership and knowing. So what started as a simple but very powerful idea, which was how to empower a person who is making a presentation to a group of people with the latest knowledge, the best knowledge in a wide array, turned out to be something that had many additional dimensions and involved people. Our team, which is here, involves a colleague in Siberia, colleagues in Pittsburgh, colleagues in Egypt, working with a community of practice all over, and with the distinguished sponsorship, I may say, of 4 principal investigators, and I should thank the support of Switzerland in this case, because they were kind enough to support us financially. But Professor Gil Oman from Michigan and the United States, and of course, the father of the internet, Vint Cerf, have given their blessing to this big enterprise with all its many ramifications of communities of practice and of other forms of lectures and outreach. And I won't say much more about that. I'll leave something to my other colleagues. And so, without further ado, I would like to invite the two principal colleagues who did this work, both the original one done by Ron Laporte, but since he has also to say about a few of the more interesting new twists and turns that have come into that. And you wouldn't believe the twists and turns, including reviving the Silk Road and doing all sorts of other things. But let me start by calling on our colleague, Dr. Noha Adli, who will, well, I see here your material is here already. Is that you have Dr. Laporte هنا ولا مش موجودة؟ موجودة بتاعت رون؟ فاوريني كده دكتور رون هنا موجودة؟ Okay, wait a minute. Then you're gonna go first. Okay, حط نوها الأول خلاص. بحط نوها الأول. كانت موجودة؟ أيوه. طيب دي جاهزة هنا؟ Okay. So Noha, please run us through what this is about, and I understand that you can also see it when you enter the library. On the left-hand side, there's a screen that's, regretfully, we want to put a second screen so that the Supercourse gets its own screen, but right now it shares it with the Encyclopedia of Life, but we'll fix that very soon. So there you are, please.
Okay, hi everyone. As with the introduction of Dr. Sirageddin on the Science Supercourse, I would like to take you for a tour where the beginning, indeed, it was the original Supercourse of Ron Laporte, which is initiated there, and we are proud to have it mirrored at the Library of Alexandria. As mentioned, Dr. Sirageddin, the Supercourse, it is about epidemiology and preventive medicine. It currently has 3,700 plus lectures, which are, as I mentioned, mirrored in the BA, and they are widely accessed. And here is the interface of the Supercourse. And then in 2008, here in BioVision, the work has started in order to launch the bigger project, the Science Supercourse, to be of a wider scope and to expand to not only of the area of epidemiology and preventive medicine, but to increase it into 4 different areas. And we have our 4 main principal investigators and our 4 gurus on the Science Supercourse: Vint Cerf, Smail Sirageddin, Gil Omen, and Ron Laporte, we are relying on them, on their vision and on their ideas for getting the Science Supercourse off the ground and going. And based on these ideas, we came up with the Science Supercourse, which has been launched now for about a couple of years. And here is the URL where you can access it. So what is it about? The Science Supercourse, it's about it's a repository of thousands of lectures. And these lectures, they were PowerPoint lectures, but we have taken these lectures and we have massaged them, these PowerPoints, to give you more functionalities so that you can have some added values on it that you can use for your own use, as we can see. Main thing, they are available for free for anybody to use, to download. And currently, the Science Supercourse, it does have more than 167,000 lectures in the 4 areas where we have started. Where public health, we have more than 44,000 lectures. In computer engineering, there is more than 51,000 lectures. In agriculture, we have more than 78,000 lectures. And environment, we have more than 26,000 lectures. So these are the 4 areas that we decided that we're going to start on. This is going to expand, but this is our start. And as I mentioned, we took these lectures, which are coming from all over the place in these 4 areas, and we have massaged the PowerPoints, and we have made like some transformations for you, the users, to be able to customize it, to customize this material to your own needs. So here we have the interface, how it looks like, and here we have our 4 areas: the public health, computer engineering, agriculture and environment. And we have created a viewer which looks like a PowerPoint. It's not PowerPoint, but it looks like PowerPoint, where you have your main slide and you have the set of slides which you have them as thumbnail. But then the functionalities that we are offering you is that we are telling you that you can form your own bookshelf of lecture shelf, not a bookshelf, but lecture shelf, so to add it to your library. So you can say, oh, I'm interested in this lecture, I can add it to my library. And then later on, when you come a week later, then you can find this lecture in your library. You can also bookmark a special, if it is a special slide that you are interested in, so you can place a bookmark, you can add a bookmark, and then you can return to it later. So here you go into your bookmarks. You have a set of the bookmarks that you have placed, and then by pressing on it, then you can go back to the exact slide where you have bookmarked it. And not only that, but as Dr. Sirajuddin mentioned, we are adding the facility so that you can form your own lecture. How would you form your own lecture? You can actually download a full lecture and you can present it. Or actually you can select few slides from here and there. So you like 2 slides from this presentation, you can find like 3 slides from that presentation, so you can compile them. And what we call them, we can add the slides into my basket. And so here I've checked a few slides from the lecture of Future of Information and Communication Technology, which was by Vin Cerf. And I'm going to add them to my basket, which I've called Future of Communication. I have several other baskets which have other slides. Now, looking to my basket of the Future of Communication, I have a set of slides that I have chosen. They are chosen from different lectures. And I can even change the order of those. So I have another order for the slides. I can add my own slide. I can add slides from other presentations, and then I can download it and I can present it to my students or my audience. Within the same framework, we have, apart from the 4 different areas, we have the special lectures which we are calling legacy lectures. So the legacy lectures, they are in between golden lectures, which are lectures which you can see that it has the golden medal, which are lectures that they are by eminent scientists and VIPs. We have the just-in-time lectures, and currently we have 88 of them, which are lectures that they are on the topic of the hour. So whether it's hurricanes, tsunami, earthquakes, whatever is in the area of falling into the 4 areas, and they are into the topic of the hour. We have a set of lectures authored by Nobel lectures. So currently we have assembled 75 of them. And also we have a set of lectures that they are coming from special institutions, like, for instance, National Academy of Science, the NIH, the Institute of Medicine. So all those are assembled, and you can reach them by just a click of a mouse. And what else do we offer? Among those 167 plus lectures, which are will be increasing, we offer you the facility that you can search into the content of all those slides. So being a computer engineer, then I will use my examples as computer engineers. So here I'm using the term looking for dynamic compilers. And it will go and it will search in all the lectures on where appeared the word dynamic compilers. And going into here it highlights the words that it has found. And going into this particular lecture, I can see that here is the word compiler, compiling, dynamic compilation. So as you can see also that it does for us a morphological search. So it is not it's not strict to dynamic compilers, but it's also to get us compilation, compiling, and so on. And the interesting thing is that on the slide itself, it is highlighting the term. So if you are looking for a particular term, it's very easy to locate it into these millions of slides which exist in this repository. Also, we can do an advanced search of saying, I would like to have a lecture which would have in its title the word data mining, and its content, it does have association rules, and that it has been rated more than 2 stars. And if we go ahead, then here we have set of lectures, and here the word data mining is appearing in the title, and looking into one of the return results, and you can see that association rules is appearing here. So it gets you even, you can refine your search so that you have specific search terms into different fields. Well, as you can see, these are functionalities that they are available to the public. Anybody, any viewer, any user can go in and he can form his own baskets, and he can has his own libraries, and he can rate the lectures and saying, I like these lectures at 3 stars or 4 stars and so on, just like Amazon and many other platforms exist. But actually, we realized that this science supercourse is structured on the community. It's very close to what we like Wikipedia, if we would like to see that, something which would be close to it, in a sense that it is based on the participation of the community. So the Supercourse, really, it needs every one of you who are sitting here to be part of its development. We invite you, of course, to use it, and also to contribute in it. To contribute in it, how? We would like to build the network and the communities which Ron Laporte is expert at, and he has built it for the epidemiology and the preventive medicine. And now we want to build this community and network for the whole set of areas in order to sustain and improve the science supercourse. I'll give you an example so that we can get you an idea of what is needed in order to enhance this platform and to make it wider. I'll make an example of what we have done for the computer engineering community, which would be the same also for the others. We can categorize our users into 3 different users. We have the general users, who could be students, just public. We can have the specialists, and here what we call citizen scientists. So they do not have to be total experts, and then we have the experts. Now, each one of those has a role. We would like to have a role of every one of them. And this role is what is going to be rendering the science supercourse a different tool. So what are the roles? The example that we have in here, we have rating lectures. Anyone can rate a lecture, whether it is a public student, just a normal user, whether it is the specialist or the expert, everybody can rate lectures. And we are developing some formulas for how to come up with a 5 stars rating so that you can see it with different weights, where the experts would have different weights than the specialists and different weight the general user. But we would like to have the input of everyone. Everyone who is using the supercourse, the science supercourse, we'd like him or her to give us their feedback and saying, I like these lectures or I don't like this lecture. We are inviting people to upload their lectures. We would like to see your lectures. This is, as we said, this is an effort from the community. So we are trying to help teachers, lecturers, instructors, and even students who are working in projects, and they are requested to present a seminar. Then this is a repository of material for them to use. So we would like to enrich this source by your lectures. If you do have some, then please upload your lectures. And here comes from, of course, either specialists or citizen scientists and the experts. And it's very easy, basically, just click on the upload here, and off you go. You send us your PowerPoint, and then we will take care of it, and we will massage it and turn it into this view that you have seen, where users can put it on their library and the bookshelf on making bookmarks and make it searchable and so on. Now there are some more technical functionalities, which is, for instance, editing the classification. Here we have, within the 4 areas, we have adopted different classification that they are well known for each topic. And since those lectures, they have been crawled, and we have relied on automated way of classifying them, but sometimes it does not really work. Sometimes it's not classified. So you find, for instance, here a lecture which is about cybersecurity and computer engineering, but it is not classified. Then you can go and edit the metadata lecture and the metadata lecture of the classification, and you can edit the classification. Now you can enter into one lecture and you find that it has been wrongly classified. So here this is a modeling of the landscape fluxes for land management and hazard prevention, and it has been classified as computer engineering in simulation and modeling and software, which is wrong classification. This is the computers do not do everything right. I mean, it depends on, you tell them what to do, and it depends on the input that they get. So basically, this needs a little bit of tweaking by the experts who go and say, this classification is wrong, and I would like to edit this the classification of the lecture. Also, we'd like to have lecture filtered in terms of content or relevancy, because these lectures, we have got them from all over the university. Some of them, they are not really relevant. So for instance, we have here a lecture that came for computer engineering due to the terms that exist into the lecture, but then this lecture is not really relevant. It's about deaf Asian people and organization, and most probably it did have a term which has like computer in some sort that it has been crawled and got there. So we need to remove that. And we also would like to have the metadata of the lectures to be reviewed. And here all the categories of people, whether expert, specialist, or general user, they can help us doing that, because it's very easy to change. Like, I mean, you can see the title of the lecture and we can correct it. You can see an author which has not been captured, and you can edit and so on. And then finally, the manual crawling, we are relying on basically postgraduate students to help us into identifying lectures from specific universities on specific topic, and to increase the corpus that we have of the resource that we have. We have tried actually within the computer engineering to hold what we call Science Supercourse Engineering Day. And we have invited students to come to the library, and we have introduced to them the Science Supercourse. We have invited them to edit some lectures and to review them. And we have held some sort of like a competition between them, so that we can have a large number of lectures that would be reviewed. And we managed to get out of this day and some subsequence, out of 30,000 lectures that they have been edited in terms of the metadata, and we need to do a little bit more on the 4 different areas. Currently, we have a small network of contributors. In terms of the metadata editors, we have about 300. Classification, it is much less because it needs experts, so we have around 200. Reviewers, we have around 200, and the uploaders, we have about 100. But we need this to grow. We need this to grow on all different areas in order to enrich our repository of the Science Supercourse. Your participation, it's going to be an effort that you play, but it will not going to be in one way. You are going to gain what you're going to gain. Well, first of all, if you do have your material, you would like to share it with others, then you are going to be exchanging experience with your peers. You are going to help students. Students will have lots of information and source information that they can use for their research, and also to reinforce the global exposure of the most up-to-date subjects. So please help us into catalyzing the Science Supercourse network and increase our resource, either by contributing with your own lectures or with contributing with your input of saying what you like, what you don't like, whether you have any comments, whether you say you have like a negative comment on a lecture, whether you have a positive comment. Just tell your opinion about anything that you like in this repository. Thank you.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the initiator of all of this, the man whose infectious enthusiasm really, I won't say keeps us all going, keeps us all on edge, but also keeps a lot of people going all around the world, the one and only Ron Laporte.
Great, thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to come to present to you today. And I just was counting with Faina, and that this is the 9th time I've been at the library. This is just so incredible. I'll give you a quick story. I think I told you the last time about this, is that when I was starting to think about the concept of the Supercourse, it was at a time when I was directing a large multinational study for childhood diabetes, and we had like 155 centers in 70 countries across the world. Eugene participated in this, and at that time, I had to send like 5 letters to Eugene with the hope that 1 letter would get there in 6 weeks. I mean, that's the nature of the time. It was a time that most of you young people don't understand. And I had gone over to the computer center and say, well, geez, can you help me out? I don't know why I'm having problems with this. I mean, we need to find a better way. And the person at the computer center said, well, we have something here that's being used by the people in computer science, and it's also being used by a few people in physics, but really nobody in health is using this. And I go, oh, interesting. I asked him, well, what is it? And he looked at me, he said, it's called the internet. First time I ever heard it. I'm like, oh, what is this thing, this internet? What does this mean, this internet? And I asked him 2 questions that completely changed my framework of life and took me out of running this large multinational study with the reality that we potentially can change the world with this thing called the internet. And so I asked him, well, how quickly can I send a manuscript to Finland to write this manuscript? And he goes, well, probably about a minute. I go, oh my God, a minute versus 4 days, this is crazy. And the second question, for we who are in global health and public health, we are not clinicians, we are not CEOs, we never have any money. I asked him, well, how much does it cost? And he looked me in the eye and said, nothing. I go, oh my God, my whole future is here. And so what we decided at that point, the whole future was to bring prevention and global health onto the internet. Well, this was a time that no one knew what the internet was, and everyone thought I was totally nuts. Well, they still do, which is the problem. Everyone thought I was totally nuts. And my wife and I were giving a training course throughout all of Egypt, and for Arab American physicians on public health. And they took us to the pyramids. Oh, wow, that's really nice. Oh, fantastic. They took us up Sharm el-Sheikh. Oh, that's really incredible. And then they took us up to Alexandria. And it was like 4 months before the opening of the Library of Alexandria. And I walked into the Library of Alexandria, and I go, oh my God, this is where the Supercourse has to be. I mean, it's exactly the philosophy of the Library of Alexandria. Well, at that time, I didn't know Dr. Sergolidine at all. And so all of a sudden, he started to receive like 3 or 4 emails a day from a crazy man in Pittsburgh saying, this is where it's got to be, this is where it's got to be, this is where it's got to be. And so he wrote back to me saying, well, why don't you come over and we can talk about it? And then we saw that the fit was perfect, and we just loved it into the future and how we can change the future. Okay, what I'm going to do today is to give you a little bit of an overview of where we've been and then where we're going. And actually, I changed this at like 4 in the morning, which is the problem. And so there may be a few flaws because of the discussions with people here. And so I'm going to be talking quickly about the Supercourse and the BA Supercourse. And what I concluded is actually, when I talked with a lot of people in agriculture today, that perhaps we might want to begin to frame our work on health and global health and agriculture as part of the major focus of ours. And the reason for it is I'm in public health, and we deal with all the deans of medicine across the world, and there's no training about agriculture in our schools. Here, the two primary forces of health in the world are health and agriculture, but public health schools, which I'm at, have no training. And if you look at agriculture schools, that's what's great talking with people today, they have no training in public health. So the idea is starting to use the Supercourse of Science and focusing on this pairing initially, because we have everything set up for health, we could do the same thing for agriculture. And this was presenting our sessions last year in 2010, which began to frame the framework. And what I'm going to be talking about is some of the developments since 2010. And these are the advisory board that we talked about, who are incredibly good friends and been very, very helpful. And the Supercourse of Science that Noah presented. And then basically, as we started to work with Noah and Chaim Magdi, just like, oh my God, these are really technical people. And I mean, we are developing our stuff, and all of a sudden we saw how technology could really be done. It was very impressive. Okay, well, basically, how do we need to improve global health and global science? Something has to be effective, cheap, ubiquitous, acceptable, and sustainable. What we think is internet-enhanced prevention and science education. We do not do distance education, and because with distance education, you are using the computer to generate a talk half a distance away. So if I'm teaching to you at the university in Alexandria, I'm teaching to you, your teacher isn't. What we want to be able to do is empower the teacher, and the most powerful tool to improve the teaching is to bring together state-of-the-art, up-to-date lectures. And that's part of the problems of developing countries. They don't have access to this, and we can provide that. And so basically, the other component of this is that the concept of what we're developing in science and health is the concept of glocal. And the glocal is basically, if you want to learn something in science, if you want to learn something in health, well, you have local information that you can use about the health of your community, agriculture and community, but you also need to bring as part of it as glocal. So like a person who develops H1N1 in New York can be in Alexandria in 6 hours. So we need to be able to look at the total picture and bring those two together. And what we've come up with Dr. Segledine is basically students of the worldwide should learn from up-to-date science and global health materials. Duh, I mean, it's a very simple concept, but we've developed the technology to be able to make this a way that is actually feasible for very inexpensive. And so what we've seen in health, and the reason that we got involved with this, in health, for 5 million years, up to 1949, life expectancy increased about 20 years. That's so for 1 year gain in life expectancy, it took 25,000 years. I mean, huge. So for thousands of millions of years, we're very slow. But what we've seen now since World War II is that we've had, for these 60 years, we've seen a 25-year gain in health in just these 60 years. Now that's incredible. And 1 year health gain in life experience took only 2.5 years. And Egypt is phenomenal in terms of the increase in life expectancy in such a short period of time. I graphed it, and basically it looks like in about the year 2020, life expectancy in Egypt is going to be greater than the United States. A phenomenal increase. And we've seen this effect worldwide. So when we're trying to improve health around the world, we have to recognize the fact that the world is healthier now than it's ever been. Okay, the 1949 tipping point, so that basically the rate of increase since 1949 is over 10,000 times greater than before. It's phenomenal. Tipping point 2, the rapid rise of the internet. Tipping point 3 is what Dr. Segledine said, is what we think is the most important technology of the 21st century is, in fact, PowerPoint and PowerPoint on the web. And we don't get any money from Microsoft. I really wish we got some money from Microsoft, but we don't get any money from Microsoft. But if you think of the power of PowerPoint, is that when I was teaching, or Dr. Segledine or Dr. Sauer were teaching, we would basically take and write on a chalkboard, and then at the end of the class, what would we do? We'd erase the chalkboard, boom. Do you know what you're doing when you're erasing that chalkboard? You're killing a lecture. Bang, you killed that lecture, it's gone. But having things put on having things on PowerPoint and on the web, we can basically, it's called green Supercourse. We can basically recycle these lectures so that I can use a lecture from Dr. Segledine in my class 5 minutes after he presents it. Phenomenally powerful way of sharing our materials. And what the Supercourse is designed to do, we don't have bosses. I hate bosses. I don't deal with a boss, and they tell you they don't deal with me. So we have a very flat structure of faculty members across the world helping faculty members. So if I have slides from Dr. Sauer, I can use those slides, and basically he's helping me, and I can help somebody else. A very simple concept. And the model is we build a large disciplinary network, and we have an open source lecture library, and we distribute the materials back to our lectures back to the network to use and to share worldwide. And basically, we have 65,000 faculty members from 9,500 universities, 174 countries. This is probably the biggest effort that's being done in global health, and it's done done very inexpensively. And the faculty has shown a very dramatic increase over a very short period of time, and we would very much like to get you involved in joining the faculty. Sadly, for the Supercourse, we don't charge you anything, but you can give us as much money as you want. We don't care. Okay, and we have mirrored sites around the world, like 86 mirrored sites. This is Eugene Shubnikov, who's done a phenomenal job in the former Soviet Union, and he's been the key person, one of the key persons for us, along with Nicholas and Francois and Faina. And Eugene joined us very early on, and one of the reasons that we were very interested in getting Eugene involved is that I'm an American. I mean, the reality is, nobody really trusts Americans. Admit it, you don't trust Americans. Well, basically, if there's an American and a Russian working together, that's pretty darn good. They trust each other, so we can get everybody else involved. So basically, we did that on purpose so that people would collaborate, because here, people are giving us their lectures. I mean, if you think of what your lecture is, basically, my lectures they're my babies. 30 years old, I've been working on them. Well, my field just said, hey, Ron, take my lecture, take my lecture. And that's phenomenal that we saw in terms of the scientists be able to give for free their intellectual property. And Nicholas has been incredible in terms of what he's done in Mexico, in terms of the development, and he's currently developing a journal there too. Well, in terms of cheap, and we tend to be cheap, basically, if you think of distance learning programs, often a distance learning program teaching somebody in Nigeria is basically, it's like half the gross national product of Nigeria in order to teach. Our program, we wanted to have it so that it's sustainable. For 1 penny, we teach 17 students. So we have 0.06 cents per presentation for it. And so you can't get anything cheaper than this for the better material to produce a major rise. Okay, so we have 5,200 lectures, Nobel Prize laureates, and then basically bringing together global health, the internet, and PowerPoint brings about the Supercourse in global health, and then the extension to the Supercourse of science. And this is what Dr. Segledine said, that's just-in-time lectures immediately after a disaster, and we like disasters. Oh boy, disasters are really good. And basically, well, we don't really like them for that, but basically, like when H1N1 occurred, Nicholas identified in Mexico one of the first cases that occurred in San Antonio, and basically within 24 hours, we had a lecture on H1N1. It was translated in 3 days into 11 different languages, including Arabic, Farsi, and Hebrew. We reached 50 million people, and what happens is that we become a trusted source because we're scientists. In China, no one believed the government, no one believed the industry, nobody believed the media, but they believe scientists. And that's what we've seen is that a power of the Supercourse is that we're unbiased. We'll tell you exactly what we think. And then Japan, we had within 10 hours, we had a lecture that was translated into Japanese and 11 other languages within 10 hours about the tsunami, the earthquake, and nuclear lectures, in that sense, last year. The future is what Faina is developing is the area of Central Asia, and she'll get a chance if we get a chance to talk about it. Francois is the Colombian exchange, mobile global health, and this new concept of bringing agriculture and global health together. Okay, well, I want to take a little bit of minutes because if you're thinking about in the future of bringing technology to help health and agriculture to help agriculture, what you need to think about is cell phones. This is one of the most fascinating findings. In 1 year, the number of cell phones will equal the number of people in the world. Now, isn't that totally unimaginative to basically say that I can call from here virtually anybody in the world? What is the implications of that? We don't know. But here, universal connectivity is something that's brand new and incredibly powerful. What our folks is, and this I like this, there's 1.5 cell phones for every European. There's only one cell phone there's one cell phone for every 2.4 people in Africa, and there's more cell phones in the world than toothbrushes. Yeah, well, I can listen to you, but I don't want to get close to you. So basically, if you look at the power of the cell phones, the younger generation coming up, we have to learn from them. These are the people who know the cell phones. They know how to use it. They know how to use it for health. They know how to use it for agriculture. And we've got to tap into them to understand. And for me as a public health person, I'll show you why I think this is so important. I've got this from Dr. Seglini's lecture. How can we reach the unreached? Well, guess what? Cell phones. The homeless people in the United States, 40% of them have a cell phone. Isn't that amazing? Rural India, you can reach anybody in rural India. I've talked with my friends in India that basically I can call from here and I can reach any homeless person in India because either that person has a cell phone, his family has a cell phone, or the community has a cell phone. This is a transforming agent for everything we're doing in science and health, but we don't know how to use it. I think we have to ask the 18-year-olds how to use it, but there's incredible, this is the future, no question about it. Now, and also for one of our biggest concerns is disabled. And basically, in a way, a cell phone makes a person less disabled because they can reach out and talk and communicate and out of their shell. Wow, I mean, what a fantastic tool for basically changing the world. And basically, all of our things related to disability, we have to view it in a new way when people can reach out through the cell phones. And now, these were the very early cell phones. These didn't go down very well. They tried to put them on their wrist or in their pocket, just didn't down. But now we have cell phones for everybody. Now, we are developing the whole area with the library because of Mobile Global Health Supercourse and the idea of Mobile Global Science Supercourse, where we're targeting the cell phones to bring the knowledge down through the cell phones and to work with people. And a Mobile Global Health Supercourse or Mobile Global Science Supercourse is reaching billions of people worldwide to improve global health and science using mobile technology and education. We don't know how to do it, but it can be done. That's the beauty of this. And we've actually created our own app, a Supercourse app, and basically using that as a tool. Now, the area that I'm interested in comes straightforward from one of Ishmael's lectures, is basically the big concern we have in global health and education and agriculture is to reach the unreached. The most unreached people are the 1%. And I don't mean the upper 1%, I mean the bottom 1%. This is where you have an incredible, in the United States, you have a 10-fold increased risk of death for the homeless people. You have a life expectancy for males of 46 and for women for 41. And I mean, it's just horrific health indices, and part of our problem is that we don't look at the homeless. Well, okay, this is what they've chosen to do. Well, no, that's not true. This is not what they've chosen to do. So what we're trying to do is try to improve the health of the homeless, not by giving them homes, because basically that's not what I know how to do. That's not what epidemiologists know how to do. Epidemiologists know how to prevent people from dying, and so that's what our target is. But also, if you think about it, it's very interesting for a homeless person. And Francois pointed this out really nice, isn't a cell phone an iHome? Basically, much of the functions and security that you get from a home, you can get from a cell phone for $50 versus $20,000. So the issue is, how do we use these cell phones to increase the quality of life and education of those people who are homeless? And the reality is, me as an epidemiologist in the area of health, there's no way that I can help and reduce the root causes of homelessness. I can't stop someone from being schizophrenic. I can't stop someone from being drug addicted. But what I can do is prevent that person who's drug addicted from dying from a drug overdose. So the biggest target now is to improve the health indices and improve and target the homeless, because we don't pay attention to them. And here is the central problem. I talked with Dr. Shankar how big of a problem it is here in India too. But it's a problem worldwide that this technology can begin to approach. And so basically, we also have a lot of the information. We've collected all the apps of science and health, and bringing this back to the concept of agriculture and global health, a supercourse of science. And what I've talked with Noah about is the idea that we can basically potentially get and identify all the scientists of agriculture, and actually all scientists in the world, 3 or 4 million, by searching through the internet. And then you have an incredibly unique pool of people, of scientists in the Library of Alexandria, virtually in the library. Okay, well, anyways, basically, if I look at this, it may be not. Now, this is not, obviously, man's first footprint on the moon, but I really think that the mobile approach and the cell phone approach will transform all of science and health, because we have, for the first time, universal connectivity, and if we use that right, it can have an incredible impact upon science and health of the world. Well, we're going back to the moon, just a second. Yeah, I want to go to the next slide.
Small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Okay, this is Apollo 2. Okay, well, this is not being done alone. In terms of our group, in terms of our working group, we have not only the collaboration of the Library of Alexandria, but with people from China, Jordan, Pakistan, Russia, and India, and these are the people who are really doing the work, the younger people that are doing the work. And I'd like to end up with this, and we all use this quote, because really, education is the most powerful weapon that you can use to change the world. We have an opportunity now with the internet and cell phones to have an incredible impact upon science education in general, at a cost that's basically a trivial, sustainable cost. And this is a phenomenal thing that we've never had in the history of humankind. And I think we would like to have you join us to be a part of this revolution of understanding and revolution of education. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. And I would add, of course, that we are also not receiving any money from mobile phone producers, much as I would like to, or for that matter, from Vodafone or Bobby Neal or anybody. But that being said, may I please invite our distinguished panel to come up here. The inventors, doers, implementers, transformers, guiders of this amazing enterprise. I mean, I think you should all know by now that we have, as Noah Adli pointed out, 167,000 lectures available for you. You can use them any way you want. It's for free. And we hope that you will participate in this. Rate the lectures you like. Make it your own. And so with that, I'll join my colleagues. I think actually I'll start with you, Gil. Yeah, we're twins anyway. Professor Gil Oman, any comments to our audience about this project that we're engaged in, you and I and Bint and Ron and others?
Well, I think the introduction by Dr. Sergeldin was right on the mark. This is an extraordinary development. It's been maturing over 25 years, led by Ron Laporte and his colleagues who are gathered here. I would like to take my opportunity to stress the value added by the BA. As Noha presented very substantially, it is one thing to have a lot of material available in the internet. It's something else to have a system in which you are guided for efficient and effective access in a relatively user-friendly manner. And the invitation to give feedback and to treat it like a wiki mechanism is real. I hope some of you will do that. And for those who are here who are prominent lecture givers, we are, of course, eager to have more lectures. But the notion of building your own baskets, facilitating the combination of the saving and combination of PowerPoint graphics that you really find attractive and effective for explanation, and building new lectures that capture your own ideas enhanced by what's available in the Supercourse, I think is splendid.
Thank you, Gil. And now I'll go on this side and see if any of the team want to add anything that's been said before I start asking questions. Eugene, anything you want to say? Yeah, just speak.
Okay. And thank you very much, Ismail, and especially for invitation me for this conference. And it's going to be like every 2 years we are here for sharing our developments in the field of Supercourse. And I would like to mention that probably you a little bit not understand why we have at one slide 5,200 lectures, and also at the same time 1,070,000 lectures. So there is still 2 Supercourses available, as well as mirror servers around the world. So the less number reflects mainly public health lecture, which was sent us and was uploaded by Supercourse group. By Science Supercourse have a possibility for everybody in this auditorium to upload, after some formalities, upload lectures by yourself or by your teachers or by just lectures which you like and you would like to share with the people around the world. And I think this is just a very good feeling if you share good knowledge with the world using Science Supercourse. So I invite you to go to the website. It's probably easy. Just go to the website of the library and you will find Science Supercourse and you can contribute. And then you can tell your mother, your friends, I'm contributor of Science Supercourse. And And also, I would like to share with you that 2 years ago, here, Jesse Huang also participated in our sessions, and unfortunately, he is died several months ago. But exactly 2 years ago, he gave me on the stick his 100 lectures, and all of these lectures is now available. So it's just a good example, like that people is leaving their legacy at our websites. So thank you very much.
That was our colleague from China, as referred to.
Yes, yes, he's from China. Yes, yes, and lectures available, all lectures of him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eugene. Faina, anything you want to add?
Yes, so I'll be really brief for the sake of time. So first of all, I want to thank the organizers of BioVision for inviting us. It's a huge honor. When I first came to BioVision in 2008, I was really honored to meet Dr. Adli and her team. And at that point, we sat down and said, okay, so we have these dreams about the Supercourse. We want A, we want B, we want C. And at the time, we didn't think that those dreams will ever come true. But actually, around a year ago, the Supercourse of Science came out, and it incorporated all the dreams that Ron, myself, and our entire team had about the capability of the system. So that's why I want to invite everybody to use it. Another thing that I wanted to tell is that, as Ron mentioned and as other people mentioned in their talks, our goal is to reach the unreached, the homeless, other people. And in the past 2 years, we realized that there is one region where Supercourse is not being used, and that's Central Asia. So in the past year, we have been working with countries of Central Asia, and that's Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, and several others, to bring the Supercourse into that region. And as a part of that project, we're developing a scientific online open access journal, which will be accessible to everybody, and where Central Asian health professionals and people from other disciplines will be able to finally publish their research, because so far they didn't have such opportunities. So if you have any kind of ideas about interesting things that we can publish there, or if you want to open a new journal, we are always welcome to talk about that. And we're looking forward to talking to you after this session. Thank you.
Thank you. François, anything?
Yes, well, I just want to stress, and again, with the same recognition of the incredible work of the library, I just want to stress that the library creates a quantum leap in the management of knowledge. It's not an improvement, it's a quantum leap. And the reason is that as a consequence of their talent, they are able to concentrate in one single point an incredible amount of knowledge. And therefore, they create a completely different context for scientists to access that knowledge, for teachers to benefit from that knowledge.
Well, thank you very much for that comment. And Dr. Magdi Nagy, you want to add anything?
Actually, the system is there, and it is working. And in my opinion, not because I have participated in building it, it's really fantastic. But the usage of the system is not as much as we have expected. We would like, at least our Egyptian students and researchers, to participate in using the system, giving us their comments, doing the added value to the system, which is actually the evaluation, putting the metadata, and perhaps suggesting also other lectures to be captured in the system. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicolas Padilla, please.
The key of the Supercourse on Epidemiology, Internet and Global Health is the communication, collaboration, and solidarity. If you apply this fact to the Science Supercourse in the system of the Library of Alexandria, the Science Supercourse will be a great success in all the world. In Mexico, we need better system of agriculture, but we need more health system. And together, Mexico, Latin American countries, North America, Europe, Asia, Africa, grow together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ron, anything you want to add after hearing all the others? No.
No. The only thing I want to add is if you ever try to develop something globally, the only way, money is important, but not that important. It's really friendship, and that's the whole core of what we have, is that we all trust each other and we're friends, and that's what's important.
Yes, well, actually, I'm going to pick up on that for our audience. As you all know, everybody here knows, the most powerful phenomenon on the internet recently, in the last 5 to 10 years, 5 years for sure, has been the social connectivity media, starting with Facebook, as being an incredibly powerful tool. So the point that Ron made about friendship, friends, I would like to invite everybody who's here today. I want to ask you, as a gift to yourself and to others, to go online, look up the Supercourse. In the Library of Alexandria, you can look up the Supercourse, and then write about it on Facebook.
Yeah, very good, yeah.
Write about it on Facebook to your friends. Everybody writes on Facebook. Everybody connects with friends on Facebook. Please use Facebook, use Twitter. Tell your friends. Just spend the night. We're going to have a break in about 10 minutes. We have a break. In the break, just look up the Supercourse, and then just promise me that before the end of the day, before you go to sleep tonight, you will send out a message on Facebook or on Twitter. I have seen the Supercourse, and it is something that we can use for free. It's all free. No cost, no charge. You can use any parts of it that you want. It's all available. You can make your own lectures. You can do anything with it. But we need to tell more people about it.
That's a great idea.
For example, in the Library of Alexandria, we are getting 2 million hits a day on average. The biggest part of our subparts that contribute to this 2 million is the digital repository, the digital assets repository. And the biggest part of that is people who look up material in books, in Arabic books, in books generally, within Arabic books. Well, that's very nice. I'm happy that they look up material in books. I love books. I love literature, I love art, I love history. But here in the Supercourse, you have this enormous material on science available for free, and comparatively very few people are actually looking it up. So I think that the best way is not for me to go and tell some professors in the university about it. It's for you, everybody here in this audience, look it up yourself, like you do all the websites that you look up, and then promise me that you will tell all your friends through Facebook. Just post it on Facebook or send out a tweet on Twitter. Do I have your promise? Yes? Yes, let's hear that. Yes. Yes, for the Supercourse. Thank you, because in the end, you, all the young people here, are who we are dedicated to serve. And one aspect of this which has not been communicated, but which all of us are extremely aware of, is that I mentioned in teaching, in making presentations. It is about transfer of knowledge through time and space from one generation to the other. And Ron pointed out that young people have a much better understanding of the new tools and their possibilities. And therefore, what we want to do is to get you engaged, because you are the ones who are going to contribute to the knowledge base and spread the knowledge base. And we are very, very conscious that everything we are doing in the end is to serve you. And one statistic that Ron didn't cite in all his statistics, but that's extremely important. In Egypt here, and throughout the world in many ways, 50% of the population is under 30.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So if you imagine, therefore, what we're talking about, it is a world of young people, a world of new technologies, a world of unlimited opportunities. And we have to make it happen, and it will only happen through you all. So we have 10 minutes more, and we have some questions, I take it, right? Give me, thank you. Well, okay. First question. Why not complete the effort, translate it all into Arabic? Volunteers, please raise your hand. All this translation that is done in multiple languages is done by volunteers. And when Ron said this lecture was translated into 11 languages, it is because people from Arab countries, from Iran, from Pakistan, from Mexico, Siberia,
and Supercourse,
China, all volunteered to translate this lecture. Yeah. They go through the 30 slides or 25 slides, and they make a version of it in Arabic, in Chinese, in Farsi, in Spanish, and so on. So the answer to that question is, we need volunteers.
Yeah, for example, Nicholas has translated 500 lectures into Spanish for free. We'd love for each one of you to do 500 lectures.
No, if everybody does one lecture. No, I'm serious. I am serious. If every person does one lecture and tells a lot of their friends about this, and then we get 2 lectures, the multiplier effect of raising to the second power, as you all know, is enormous.
Yeah, and it's not just an individual activity. In China, Professor Wang, who was mentioned, stimulated and, more importantly, assisted students who stepped forward to organize a group effort of medical students and public health students. I've met with them 2 different times over the years, and I expect to see some of them next week in Beijing.
Good.
Yeah, one point about that, too, is that if you do translate, we recognize you and put you in our list of translators so the world can see that you've, in fact, participating with us on the Supercourse. So it's not anonymous. You do get credit. We don't give you any money, though. Sorry.
No, but there's recognition built in. And in fact, we tried to promote also, Dr. Noha, Dr. Magdi, we tried to promote also at time of Wikimedia, the Arab Wikipedia, and you showed the picture of the Arab Supercourse. But what we need really is to go viral, so to speak, get the people engaged and tell your friends through the social media. This is the best way of spreading information. The second, we have requests and suggestions as well. To add all the PowerPoint presentations of this BioVision to the website, yes, I can promise you we shall do that. It's already going to go on the website of the conference, which is attached to the website of the library, but it has to be treated in order to be able to be searchable and so on, the way Dr. Noha Addi showed you in her presentation, where you can find individual words inside the slide, in the title of the slide, in the title of the lecture. So a little bit of treatment there. So yes, we will. So you can immediately find the lectures on the website of the conference, attached to the website of the library, and you will find it very soon treated and on the Supercourse website. Now we want all experts to upload one PowerPoint from their work for 1 week to encourage the project. Actually, we have a lot of material, and we have received a wonderful response from the Nobel laureates, from the National Academy of Sciences people, from the Institute of Medicine, from the NIH. How many lectures do we have from all of these?
Oh, wow. We have like 400 IOM, NAS, so probably around 600, quote, legacy lectures. I don't know.
Yeah,
in
legacy
their
lectures
range.
are by these very distinguished people in all these fields. So in that 167,000, there's over 600 lectures. I mean, just imagine, you already have 600 lectures up on this website. That's why I'm saying we want more of you to use it. It's all there. It's all there, and we will get more. And we've had wonderful reactions from them, I think, on that. To encourage the project, the single most important thing is your participation. And that's really the basic reason why we're holding this event in BioVision, is since there's a large number of you here and you're already interested in science, then by all means, we wanted to make sure that you could see what this is all about and why it's there. And so we would also welcome, and perhaps that will be the last point I will make, we would welcome, after you see it and you look around in it and browse it, and after you keep your promise to post it on Facebook to your friends, after you do that, any suggestions that you have, we want your suggestions. So tell us, you know, I'd like to change this, I suggest that we do X or Y. Try it, give us your feedback, we will be very grateful. And remember that all of us here, and many, many more who are not on the stage with us, here in the Library of Alexandria and in this global network, we are here to serve you. We are here to assist you. We are here to try to make all this knowledge available to you, for you to use the way you think you want to use it. So we're going to try to empower the world, and as Ron said, we're going to change the world, I hope, for the better, but mostly by making things available to you and to be there to support you. So on behalf of all of my colleagues, I would like to thank you for having shared this time with us. And as the director of the library and chairman of this conference, I would like, on your behalf, to thank the panelists, and I would like to ask you now to join me in thanking them as we take a 30-minute break before the next meeting, which I believe is going to be the start of the plenaries, right, Dr. Muhammad? Yes, it will be the start of the plenaries. So we reconvene in 30 minutes, but in the meantime, a big thank you to all the panelists who are here. Thank you all.